Now, The Hunt Palmer Show.
Waiting to rise again.
You're listening to The Hunt Palmer Show. Brought to you by Quirks, Cajun fried fish and shrimp on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
This is the moment you've all been waiting for.
Locking down the middle of the day. Live from the Mercedes-Benz of Baton Rouge studio. This is Hunt Palmer.
Hour 2, Friday edition, final hour here on this work week for us here on the Hunt Palmer Show. We're brought to you by Corks, Cajun fried fish and shrimp. Hope you're staying dry and safe out there in South Louisiana. A bit of a wet start to the weekend. We're fired up. You're hanging out with us. Keith Hornsby in 30 minutes talking LSU basketball with the former Tiger great who's now on staff at LSU. So looking forward to that conversation coming up in half an hour. Series continues over on LouisianaSports.net. In-depth chart. We started on the offensive line, center, guard, tackle, moved out to tight end, and now moving out wide to the wide receivers. Took a long time to write this one, as there's a lot of wide receivers on this roster. But it was fun to write because this LSU receiving core in 2025, I believe, is going to be excellent. I'm lukewarm on the offensive line. I am. That's been pretty obvious, and I think most people are. I am not lukewarm at all on the wide receiver group. I think they're going to be excellent. Absolutely excellent. Now, last year's group was productive. Was it complete? I don't know. Did it have enough variance in its skill set? I don't think so. But Garrett Nussmeier still threw for 4,052 yards last year. That was fifth in the country. He had more completions than any quarterback in the SEC, led second place Quinn Ewers by 40, and Ewers played an extra game over Nussmeier. LSU was sixth in the country in third down conversions. They averaged 30 points per game. It was a good offense that relied heavily on the passing game. We know this. So Kyron Lacey, CJ Daniels, and then to Aaron Anderson and, Xavion Thomas and whoever was out there. And certainly Mason Taylor had his role as a tight end as well. But it was a good group. But you were very much missing the big play. And I think you get that with this group. In fact, there's nothing that I could look at with this group that I think you're lacking outside of a proven first-team All-American. But Aaron Anderson exploded last year and led LSU in receiving yards and catches. He had over 850 yards and was really good as a possession receiver who stretched the field occasionally. And he's back. And I think he's going to have a great year. And I think he'll be able to play his role even better, which is a guy who's very good in the short and intermediate because they've got vertical threats on the outside. That's certainly Chris Hilton, who we've seen it. He's made 9 catches of 40-plus yards in very limited time in his 4 years. He came in, big play last year against Oklahoma, big play against Baylor. He comes in, he stretches the field. We've talked about it a lot. But Barian Brown does the same thing. He's got elite speed, busts the top off the defense. You're talking about Kentucky's freshman leader in receiving yards. And I think that those two guys add a vertical threat you so desperately needed last year. And in addition to those two guys, you have Nick Anderson, who showed himself to be a vertical threat at 6'3" at Oklahoma 2 years ago. The stats you continue to hear is that he set Oklahoma's freshman touchdown record in receiving. That's a big deal at a place that's just been churning through Heisman quarterbacks. Hurts didn't win a Heisman, but he was awesome. Murray won a Heisman. Mayfield won a Heisman. Bradford won a Heisman. They've been chucking it around for a decade and a half in Norman. And no freshman has caught more touchdowns than Nick Anderson. Now, I'm a little concerned about Nick Anderson's health. Not because I saw him last week on crutches. I didn't. Not because he hasn't had time since his injury last fall to heal. He's had a year. But if you go out in the spring and a guy's got a wrap on his hamstring and he's not going through all the drills, not doing everything that's asked, you have skepticism before we get out there. I will tell you this. When we go out there a week from yesterday to watch the first practice, I am going to the wide receiver group and I'm checking on Nick Anderson. It's the first thing I'm going to do at practice. Because I think he could be the biggest difference maker from the portal class. He's the guy in this receiving core that I look at and I go, that's a number one option. That's a first round pick. I think he's got that ability. I don't think Aaron Anderson is going to be a first team All-American, and I don't think he's going to be a first round pick at 5'8". I think he's going to catch 60 passes for 800 yards. Again, I don't think he's got the ceiling that Anderson does. I don't think Chris Hilton is going to be a number one receiver or a first round pick in the NFL. I think he's awesome. I think he brings an added dimension to this offense that LSU so desperately needed last year. But I think his biggest trait is his speed, and he's still like 6'1". I don't think Barian Brown at 5'11" is going to be the number one option. I don't think he's going to be an NFL team's number one wide receiver. I think he's explosive. I think he's the SEC record holder for single season kickoff returns for a touchdown. He's returned a kickoff for a touchdown in all 3 of his years at Kentucky. He's the all-time leading freshman receiver at Kentucky. He's our 11th all-time in their history in receiving in 3 years. But I don't think he's number one. Anderson could be a number one NFL wide receiver, I think. He's got that much ability with that frame, speed, catch radius, route running, all of it. And I can sit here in late July and envision you a situation where Nick Anderson catches 1,200 yards worth of balls with 8 touchdowns and is a first-team All-American. I can envision you a scenario where he's not quite healthy and they've got so much depth at wide receiver, he's not even a factor. Like, I can see both ways. But right now, as I evaluate it, I think my opinion is it's closer to the first one. When the portal opened and players started going in and LSU started getting linked to him, he was the first one I looked at and went, oh, yeah, get him. So I'm very excited about that top group. I think LSU's top 3 receivers this year are Nick Anderson, Aaron Anderson, and Chris Hilton. I think those are the top 3 guys. I think Barian Brown is right there in that mix at 4. And then I think you look at a host of others that will play a role as it's presented to them. You got to go to Trey'Dez Green and Bauer Sharp first at tight end. And then does Destin Hill emerge? Like, we have not seen anything from Destin Hill in 4 years of college. Like, he didn't play his first 2 years at Florida State, was away from the team, came in, played a little bit, and then he got hurt, missed basically the entire season last year. Like, he's been out of high school for 4 years, and he's played 1. So I don't know what to expect from him. Xavion Thomas, to me, is down the line as far as wide receiver goes, but there's going to be a role for him as a ball carrier. They're going to get him the ball out of the backfield some. They're going to run him in the jet sweep game. We saw this all spring. It wasn't like one practice, like, oh, there's Xavion Thomas on a jet sweep. Like, all spring long, he was in the backfield working on the running game, and he was motioning into jet sweep action and catching some screens and whatnot. And there's a role for him. It's not a 900-yard receiver. Kyle Parker, little bit limited in what he is based on his size. He's not the fastest guy out there, but he's a good route runner. Hopefully he's back from a couple of injuries. Triceps injury shouldn't be an issue this far removed. You heard it right after the UCLA game. So there are roles for those guys. And then you've got like legitimate track stars in Jelani Watkins, Phillip Wright, and Teron Francis, who I don't know that have a role in this team, but like as far as ability, with their ability to run is nuts. They're real track fast. I saw some numbers. Teron Francis was the top-ranked wideout in the state in 2025, 6'1", 205. He anchored Edna Carr's 4x100 relay team on the track. And Wright at Destrehan was clocked at a 4.34 40, so 4.3 in the 40 at the All-American Bowl showcase. And then he won the 5A regional in the 100 and the 200 on the track. So, yeah, Jelani Watkins, who was like blazing fast in track in his first year on the LSU track team, clocked a 6.63 in the 60-meter. That's 7th fastest in school history. So these are guys that are like 6, 7, 8 in your wide receiver, and they're setting track records. So it's an embarrassment of riches for Cortez Hankton. My opinion, I told you, is that those are the top 4 guys, and I expect LSU to be an absolute handful. But what does it always come back to? It's come back to this every discussion we've had on the offense, on Nussmeier, on Trey'Dez Green, on the wide receivers, on Caden Durham or Harlan Berry, or offensive line. If LSU keeps Garrett Nussmeier upright, these guys are going to have a freaking field day on most Saturdays. They just are. Because they've got like the short, quick guys that are hard to get in space, like Anderson and Brown. They've got the size and the length in Nick Anderson. They've got the game-changing speed with Hilton and Brown. They've got every piece you could want on this receiving core, except for a proven first-team All-American coming back. So to me, this is a huge strength of the team. It's a huge part of the identity of the team. And if they're allowed to go out there and do their work, they're going to be a nightmare matchup for a lot of defensive coordinators. Now, that said, if you can't protect Nussmeier and you can't run the ball and the cavalry's coming, then these guys are going to be neutered and they're not going to be effective. But if they can just figure something out to get the ball into space, into these guys' hands, they're going to do a lot of damage for this LSU football team. So that's a look at wide receiver. I've got a deeper dive in terms of the text. Who's gone, who's back, who's new. I've got some video and some highlights plugged into the story. So if you have not checked out in-depth chart on louisianasports.net, just go to the LSU Sports tab. They're all right there in order. I've got center, guard, tackle, tight end, and now wide receiver. If you'd like to kind of get a fresher, get a different look or a first look maybe at this LSU football team as we kind of ease out of the summer and into fall camp, it's all there for free on louisianasports.net. Appreciate y'all for checking that out each and every day. We'll step aside, come back. Is Nick Saban coaching again? He did an interview on Fox News. We'll talk about it next.
The Hunt Palmer Show.
Highland Insurance Group, HighlandIG.com is the website. Jonathan Carver and his team, phenomenal folks to work with on the insurance front. Captives are the future of the insurance, and in some ways they're the present in insurance as well. If you're a sizable company and you're a risk manager or CFO or an owner and you're in charge of handling the insurance and you haven't looked at a captive or explored what that may do to your bottom line, call Jonathan Carbo, reach out at HighlandIG.com and just see, because not every agent, not every broker can handle a captive. The Highland Insurance Group can. They do it every day. So if you feel like you may be a fit, you want to help out on the bottom line with your insurance costs, which can be astronomical in a lot of cases, see if a captive works for you. Jonathan Carbo and his team are happy to help you with that. It's HighlandIG.com. It's the Highland Insurance Group right here in Baton Rouge. They can help you out statewide. HighlandIG.com. HighlandIG.com.
This is the Hunt Palmer Show, brought to you by Corks, Cajun fried fish and shrimp.
So to finish yesterday's show, I was talking about some Scotch glasses on the internet. Wrigley Field, Cubs W flag, 2016 World Series champs. They were awesome. $15, great deal. And I said I was going to do some research on whether or not it was legit.
Yeah.
I typed in the name of the company.
Yep.
Said it was a scam.
Well, not surprised.
I mean, I'm disappointed.
Yeah.
I liked the glasses. They have two styles.
Yes.
I was going to be able to pick which one I wanted.
You just have to.
I only have one Scotch glass that has Cub stuff on it. I need a second. This is a great deal, great design.
You shouldn't have got your hopes up, Hunt.
What did the site say? I searched it if it was okay. Here's the opening line. If EpicKeeps.com was good. It says EpicKeeps.com operates a fraudulent e-commerce platform designed to extract customer payments and sensitive personal information through deceptive shopping schemes.
They almost got you.
Freaking Epic Keeps. It's a good scheme. It looked like a good glass.
Yeah. I'm sure they've gotten plenty of people with it.
They almost got me.
They did.
I was very interested. And now, every time I open Instagram, it's like the second time.
Yep.
Epic Keeps. It just shows up every time. They think they got me. Tricks on you, Epic Keeps. I'm smarter than that. Just took one.
Just a little bit
one
smarter.
catfishing situation, but we've maneuvered through that, and we're all good. Let he who hasn't been swindled by an Instagram ad after a couple cocktails throw the first stone.
I have never been swindled. I can't say that I've been on Instagram when I am mildly intoxicated, but I've never been swindled by any Instagram ads.
All right, let's talk about Nick Saban. Greg McElroy just throwing bombs on everybody right before SEC Media Days, saying, look, wouldn't be surprised if old Nick came back and coached. And then you got Kiffin saying he should come back and coach, and you got Feinbaum saying he should come back and coach, and and you got all this groundswell of momentum. And I don't know why Nick Saban went on Fox and Friends today. I have no idea what the topic of conversation was. Probably the executive order from Donald Trump. I'm assuming that's what it was. But the end of the interview, they asked Nick Saban if he would consider a return to coaching. Now, Nick is in his 70s, 72, and looks great, doing a great job on game day. But is he going to come back and coach? And this was his answer on Fox and Friends today.
I never really ever had a thought about getting back into coaching until 2 days ago. Miss Terry said I had to run the sweeper in the entire downstairs. So while I was running the sweeper, the thought occurred to me, when you were coaching, you had a heck of a lot better job than this.
So that's Nick. Miss Terry's making him do house chores, and he says you had a lot better job than this when you were coaching. Clearly, that was a canned answer from Nick. And maybe he's learned his lesson from the days in Miami where he said, I'm not going to be the Alabama football coach. And then he was the Alabama football coach. But it was not a denial. He did not say, I'm not coming back to coaching. Just said that Miss Terry had him doing some chores. My thought is this. Nick Saban said when he retired that he did not feel he could do the job the way he had always done it. He could not burn the candle at both ends at 4:45 in the morning and 11 o'clock at night and do the things that he needed to do. And that's probably true once you get a few years beyond 70, like getting up at 4 every morning and staying up working until 11 o'clock is probably a lot. Be a lot for me, and I'm not 70. I'm half. But it changes the dynamics if you go work in the NFL. Because in the NFL, you don't have to recruit your players. You don't have to recruit 16-year-olds and the current staff. You just have to rely on your scouting department to go get players, and then you coach them. So I know, based on following sports for the last 25 years, how some of these guys are wired in the highest levels of sports. And they just don't like sitting at the lake. Like me, I can sit at the lake. I can sit on the beach. I can play golf. I can take a nap at 3 p.m. I promise you, I'll be just fine doing all that. But Nick's not. Like, he's not wired. He does play golf. He does go to the lake, but he wants to coach. You just watched it in this market with Paul Maneri. He sat out a year. His back felt better. He played some golf. And then he looked around and went, well, I'm a little bored. And then he went to South Carolina. And that's just the way he's wired. Brett Favre couldn't quit. And so his body just made him quit. And I would not be surprised if Nick Saban came back and coached next year. I would be stunned if he coached college football next year. I would not be surprised if he came back and coached 3 or 4 years in the NFL. I would not. That's based on no inside information. It's just based on people in Tuscaloosa are talking. Nick's not denying it. He's not saying that's a stupid thing to say. He took a canned answer with a little quip that was executed decently and dismissed the question. So I don't think the rumors came out of nowhere. I just don't think he wants to jump back into college, which is just, let's face it, a far more intense environment in terms of your demands as a coach. You've got to deal with the boosters. You got to deal with the players. You got to deal with recruits. You got to deal with your team. You got to deal with your coaches. You got to deal with all that goes into the NIL and the transfer portal and all the things that go into the massive amount of rule changes that are seemingly by the week. It's just more. And I don't think he wants to deal with that anymore. I don't think he feels like he can do that to his standard. But can he go work for a really good NFL GM who's got a quarterback in place, that's got a reasonable roster, that moved on from a coach, and say, hey, I can give you 3 or 4 years? I can see that. I can see that for sure. Because I think that's the way he's wired. I think the game day gig's a pretty good one. Fly you around private, stay in a nice hotel, get a big steak dinner, talk college football for 3 hours, get on the jet, go home, go to the Alabama game. That seems like a great gig to me. It pays, you're in football, you can break down film, you can talk to coaches, no pressure, no stress. But you don't win and lose, and you're not the boss. And for a guy that has always been the boss and has always been working in terms of wins and losses, it just may not satiate the need that he has for that. And some of these guys step away, and they are getting some better sleep at night, and they do feel better than they did right at the end when they were forced out or retired on their own. And you think, oh, I can do this again. And I just feel like, not based on the Fox and Friends appearance, but based on my understanding of the guy that Nick Saban is, I just feel like there's a good chance that he'll kick the tires on it. It's probably got to be the right fit. He's in a spot right now where it probably has to be the right fit. Like Paul Maneri was not going to go coach Louisiana Tech. Like that was never going to happen. He was not going to go to a place where you can't win the College World Series and you're probably never going to Omaha and you're playing in front of 11 people, and just that was never going to happen. And Nick's not going to go coach, Troy because it's down the road from Tuscaloosa, and he just wants to get in there and mix it up and grab the whistle. He'd want to compete for a championship. And the one thing he hasn't conquered is a Super Bowl. And he could theoretically do that in a couple of years in the NFL in the right spot if it presented. And I'm not here to tell you like what that is. I don't know. But if the right spot presented itself, maybe. Wouldn't rule it out. We'll see. Friday show is brought to you by Cork's Cajun Fried Fish and Shrimp. When we come back, Keith Hornsby, former Tiger, now on the staff at LSU basketball. Good enough to give us a little bit of time. We'll talk to him next.
The Hunt Palmer Show.
Genesis of Baton Rouge. GenesisofBatonRouge.com is the website. Man, that dealership, it is state of the art. It really is. It's amazing. You walk in there and you do not feel like you're in a car dealership. You feel like you're in a resort. You feel like you're in a spa. And if you do go by and get some service done at Genesis, which by the way is complimentary for 3 years, your maintenance for 3 years is complimentary on your new purchase, and you want to go in there and get some work done while that's happening, you can. They've got private sections kind of roped off. They've got a gorgeous little screened area that you can sit in, amazing Wi-Fi, free complimentary snacks, great coffee machine. It's incredible. It's huge, has every bell and whistle. You make every kind of coffee you could want with it, and they got awesome Wi-Fi and a great vibe in there. It's not like every single showroom. Like it's a cool spot that you've got access to because you drive a Genesis. And so if you want to do valet maintenance, which most people do, that's great. They'll bring you a loaner. They got more than 20 on hand, and they'll go ahead and give you a loaner and do the maintenance and then bring it back for you. But if you want to sit there and get some work done while they handle your car, airline at PQ, you can do that in a very comfortable setting. It's just another perk. It's an experience to be a Genesis driver. If you've not gotten behind the wheel of a Genesis or been by the dealership, I just strongly, strongly recommend you go check it out. It's Genesis of Baton Rouge. You can find them online at genesisofbatonrouge.com.
You're listening to The Hunt Palmer Show, brought to you by Cork's Cajun Fried Fish and Shrimp.
Just the way it is.
Well, Bruce Hornsby here on a Friday. Brought to you by Cork's Cajun Fried Fish and Shrimp. Always want to remind you that Cork's is happy to help you with their catering services. If you're looking to cater a birthday party, retirement party, want to feed the office, And certainly coming up in September, your tailgate parties, Corks can handle that. They can get you the big trays of that jumbo Gulf shrimp, crispy fried catfish, shoestring fries, honey butter rolls, hush puppies, all of it there at Corks Cajun Fried Fish and Shrimp. Check out the menu, corksfishandshrimp.com. Let's go out to the Jim's Firearms Hotline now. Former Tiger Keith Hornsby, good enough to give us some time here on this Friday, back in action with LSU basketball on the staff this time around. Keith, thanks so much for the time. How are you?
Doing just fine, thanks. It's great to be back in Baton Rouge, that's for sure.
Well, tell us how that process came to be. I know you enjoyed a long professional career, played 9 seasons of professional basketball. How did you decide to come back and do a little coaching?
Oh, well, it's a bit complicated. I'll try to give you the short version. I played 5.5 years. I had almost a 9-year pro career, but the last 5.5 years were overseas in Europe. And in that time, I had my family with me, and we, had some kids, and that whole thing. And then it became difficult being away, especially for my wife, who's from Lafayette. Really started missing her friends and family, and kind of made the executive decision to move back to Baton Rouge, kind of mid-season. Although I finished the season, but we had the idea. This is last year, maybe in the fall of 24. So we got the ball rolling. The next thing you know, like in June, we got a house and we're back in Baton Rouge as if it was 2016. So back like we never left almost.
That's awesome. Tell me about your time in Europe. You obviously were a 3-time G League All-Star in 17, 18, 19, and then decided to go overseas. And it looks, based on what I'm looking at with your bio here, you saw just about everywhere Europe had to offer.
Yeah, when I first went over there, I couldn't have imagined, my journey would take me to the places it did. So really playing 1 year to the next, I actually, even when I was at LSU, didn't anticipate having such a lengthy career. And I was planning on playing maybe 2 to 3 years and then getting into coaching. But I kept working and the opportunities kept getting better, and it was hard to turn down. And, although it was tough really living in these places, there's so many positive takeaways as well. And the basketball really fit my game. And, played in some of the best leagues. Met some amazing people, and it really was a bit eye-opening culturally. And just, from a life perspective, you realize there's amazing people everywhere, and it's, and now we're back here, and life moves on,
Look, it's, you played in Poland, you played in France, Germany, and in Lithuania. I see a few. What was that like for your family to live in, and your wife to live in some of those places? You mentioned the cultural aspect of it.
Yes. So it was great. I mean, we had many great memories. It's funny, we always talk about them now, like, oh, you remember, this restaurant in Paris we went to, this night we explored this area. Now we'll always take away those because we have so many amazing memories. But the truth of it is, it's no vacation. Like, we live there.
Yeah.
We got to wake up and go to the grocery store, go to doctor's appointments. And it really feels foreign when you're there. Sure, English now 2025 is more widely spoken, but, still in the hinterlands of Germany and, even in Paris and Lithuania, there's more English, but, you just feel foreign. So after 9-10 months, you start missing home. And for my wife, it was difficult because I had my team as sort of like a fraternity of people to, check that social box. Now, she didn't have anybody. Like, every now and then she'd have a wife and a few people she'd meet, but it was tough. And then when we had our daughter in Paris, she was basically a stay-at-home mom, and sometimes I'd be the only person she'd speak to for days at a time. And then, honestly, social media is like your worst enemy there because you can see everything you missed. And for her, all her friends were back in Baton Rouge, or not everyone, honestly, but she's seeing everything she was missing. And then she's sitting in some random apartment in Europe, and sheesh, wish I could be there. And that builds up over time. But she did fantastic, and I'm very proud of her for how she adapted in ways that are very not typical. Certainly not what she envisioned probably back when she met me at LSU.
Well, look, I'm a guy who was born in Shreveport, lived there for 18 years, went to college at LSU in 19 years ago and never left. So I've lived in 2 cities in 1 state my entire life. So for me to sit here and hear those stories, it's an amazing life experience that I'm confident y'all look back on so fondly because of the experience that so few people have. And now especially that you're home. Is that the way you think you'll end up looking at it down the road?
That's a great way of looking. Yes, we no doubt will. We'll always remember, the difficulties of it, the reality of actually doing it. But we recognize, even in the moments that were tough, we still knew it was a special experience, and it wasn't going to be forever. So we, no doubt about it, made the most of it.
We're chatting with Keith Hornsby, former LSU guard, now back coaching here in Baton Rouge on Matt McMahon's staff. Let's talk about that. Did you know that LSU would be where you could land and grab a job, or was that just a fortunate circumstance? How did that come about?
A bit fortunate circumstance. I made sure when Coach McMahon got the job to establish a relationship with him. I was never in Baton Rouge much in the off seasons. I'd be in Lafayette a good bit with my in-laws. Okay. So I would come down to Baton Rouge and visit and meet the staff probably maybe once a summer. But ever since I met McMahon, I just established an instant friendship and relationship with him that, he's simply put, he's just my type of guy, my type of coach as well. So going into my last season overseas, I knew that we're nearing the end, and I was hoping the opportunity would be there to come in, but it's never guaranteed. So I just let him know that I was interested, and then sure enough, I guess, I was hoping so. I think I've always made it clear how much LSU and LSU basketball has meant to me, whether it's how I played and just in general, the pride expressed for representing the 3 letters. But I was hoping that would help my case if I wanted to be on staff, because I wanted to help the program, help the players and hopefully have success here.
No question. Obviously, it's a brand new team that they're bringing in, a lot of guys from the transfer portal. What have your impressions been of watching the guys work out here in the offseason this summer?
Actually, my main job here is player development so far. So I'm in the gym with these guys all the time. And I will admit, I considered myself a hard worker when I was here, but I never had someone like me to be in the gym, doing skill work as much as these guys do. And it's amazing. This is a great group. It really is. It's sort of an older roster, which I think helps bring a sense of maturity from the foundation up. And yeah, it's a pleasure. These guys show a lot of enthusiasm, a lot of positivity, and a lot of talent. And man, I'm having to turn them away, honestly, from getting in the gym because there's just only so many time in the day, along with the other obligations they have. But I'm thrilled so far, and we will see what happens. So far so good.
How are the vibes? Obviously, last year didn't go the way that LSU basketball would have wanted it to go. It's a brand new team, as you mentioned. So is it a completely fresh start, or is there lingering effect from a disappointing season last year?
There's no lingering effect. Obviously everyone knows the results, but we're moving forward, and that's what we understand the road ahead, how the SEC is. It's a gauntlet. So it's one thing I like about McMahon. I think he's always brought a great mix of discipline with encouragement and positivity, and right now we're looking forward to just what we can do to be the best team possible come November.
Are you excited to get a look at the SEC for the first time in a long time? Because it's different than when you were here. I can promise you that. It's been amazing to watch the league take off the way it has, and I'm sure that the coaching staff has told you about that.
Well, I was around a bit last year, so I was not on the bench or anything, but I would come to some games. And man, I'm going to defend the SEC when I was there. I think it was underrated a bit. I mean, there were some pros in that time. But now, inarguably, it's different. I mean, it's the best conference in the country, no doubt, and it should retain that crown this year. It's exciting to see. It just makes me more proud that I competed in the SEC, even if it was a little bit different then. But, I'm a big fan of the conference. I think, it's the best conference in the country, through and through. I think, I got a pretty good argument there with any detractors, especially because I'm from Virginia, it's ACC country. So, I'm an SEC guy, and I'm not afraid to let everyone know about it.
Do you lace them up and go give those guys some business a little bit on the practice floor, or are you just simply sitting on the sideline with a whistle?
Oh no, I know. No, they know. They know I'm capable. They know I'm capable. May not have the edge that I used to, but don't get me wrong. They respect me upon arrival. And if they don't, hey, nothing a little one-on-one session won't fix.
I love to hear that. One more question, Keith. We've so enjoyed this. I appreciate the time. I'm curious, with your perspective internationally on the game, do you feel like the international game is preparing some of these international players to come over with a higher skill set than what the AAU circuit in college basketball is in America? I'm just curious because there's so many great international players in the NBA, and I think you probably got a decent look at why they're so skilled over there.
Well, it's just do they have a different upbringing in the game? There's not really an AAU comparable thing overseas. If you're a good enough player, you're playing with a pro team from the time you're 15 on. And in some senses, if there's not if there's not a sort of a junior league, you're practicing with grown men. Many teams I was on, they had, 16, 17-year-olds sort of serving as, I wouldn't say walk-ons comparable here, but they would be practice players. And then if you're good enough, you're getting minutes and you're on the main team. So they come with a different preparation, different teaching, a different experience than anybody could have over here in America. So that's why if you're getting an overseas guy, you can expect them to be a little ahead of the game IQ-wise. But, that's obviously neither here nor there, depending on the player. But generally speaking, that's kind of the consensus, So
that's fascinating
that's
stuff.
What I have to say about that.
Yeah, I mean, it's an amazing basic basketball life that you've lived and continue to live here, and we're fired up that you're back with LSU basketball. I've really enjoyed this and hope we can catch up a little bit down the line.
I'm sure we will. Great speaking to you.
Thanks. That's Keith Hornsby, LSU basketball former guard, now on the staff with Matt McMahon as LSU gets ready with a team that there's a good feeling about. I can tell you around the LSU basketball program right now, they changed the way they operate a little bit in the transfer portal, and they're making a few bigger splashes. And I know that we are in the shadows of a baseball national championship, and football is less than a week away on the practice field, and there's not a ton of basketball juice in July. But I can tell you personally, I'm excited to watch that team play November, December, and the SEC play, because I think you're going to see a different type of team this year, and certainly we hope that's the case. Last year was a bit of a disappointment, as we talked about, but they got a chance to rebound from that with a whole new roster, and pumped that Keith is back in town and helping LSU basketball, which he said he got a lot of pride in, which is a really cool thing. I always appreciate when guys from out of the state come to LSU and it becomes home. I was talking to Kevin Gaussman about that at Ronnie Rance's thing back in the winter. He had a fundraiser at Little Bears, and I was talking to Kevin, who lives here. He's from Centennial, Colorado, and now Baton Rouge is home, no matter he's played for the Orioles and the Braves and the Giants and now the Blue Jays, and Baton Rouge is home. And Keith kind of feels that way. And obviously having a wife from down the road in Lafayette will help that pretty quickly as well. So appreciate Keith for giving us a little bit of time here on this Friday. We'll come back and close it out next.
The Hunt Palmer Show.
One Bath and Closets. OneBathAndClosets.com is the website. David Duvall and his team, 30 years redesigning and remodeling bathrooms and closets. Transform your closet. That's what it says right there on the website, OneBathAndClosets.com. By transform, it may mean just making a new one, but it could also mean just using your space more efficiently by adding some bells and whistles like cubbies and drop downs, mirrors, different drawers. If you've just got clutter that you can't seem to get rid of, even if you go in and try to take some things out and then a week later you look up and you're still cluttered, maybe it's because your closet isn't as functional as it should be. You can customize a closet to your exact specifications, and David Duvall and his team can do it. They've been doing it for 30 years. Go to the website. Look at what I'm talking about. You can see pictures of their great work. It's gorgeous, it's functional, and it's customized to your specifications. David promises you this. He's going to do it right the first time and leave the competition behind. It's David Duvall in One Bath and Closets. Find him online at onebathandclosets.com.
This is the Hunt Palmer Show, brought to you by Quirks, Cajun fried fish and shrimp.
All right, closing up shop here. Weekend just about upon us. Wet Friday here in Baton Rouge. Hope y'all are safe and dry. Our Friday show is brought to you by Corks, Cajun fried fish and shrimp. Saints taking the day off tomorrow. They will be back on the practice field on Sunday. We'll certainly have reports for you on Monday's show. And we are inside a week from LSU reporting for fall camp. If you're looking for LSU football content, LouisianaSports.net's got you covered there. I've got an in-depth chart series, one position every single day in the morning, usually right about 8 o'clock. Have a position preview up. Today's wide receivers. It is long, but it's very fun to read, I think, because LSU's wide receivers are going to be awesome. And if you'd rather not read it and just hear about it, I talked about it at 2 o'clock today. So you can find that at Hunt on LSU, wherever you find your podcasts. All right, we'll close it up with some Take It or Leave It.
Take it or leave it.
Take it or leave it.
Presented to you by Flight by Yingling, the next generation of light beer, crafted by America's oldest brewery. Today's hottest stories in sports, news, and sometimes even Hunt's life. The question is, will he take them or leave them?
I think there's a Flight by Yingling in my future, probably in the next 2.5 hours. Got a little bit of work to take care of here, and then we'll get on home and crack the top on a Friday evening. It's the next generation of light beer built for Louisiana weekends. If you're headed out on the water this weekend, if you're headed to the pool this weekend, if you're getting burgers out on the grill this weekend, which I'm also doing, Flight by Yingling. It's the next generation of light beer. It's got that light, refreshing taste, but also just 95 calories, 2.6 carbs. Flight by Yingling, next generation of light beer.
All righty, first one here. Crosstown Classic this weekend. Hunt, get the brooms out. Take it or leave it.
I'll leave it. They're not playing well enough to sweep anybody, but they better not lose 2 games to the White Sox, who are just atrocious.
They are bad.
I haven't looked at the pitching matchups.
So Shota's going tonight.
Feels
However,
like Shota's up now. Yes.
He is going tonight. However, the White Sox have Adrian Hauser going, former Brewers guy.
Yes.
Starter for the Brewers. He's actually been pitching pretty solid
I hope
this
he
year.
pitches like dog doo-doo
I
today.
do too.
I hope it's the worst outing of his entire life, including Little League.
I agree. I concur. I hope he does as well. Shota's been pretty solid.
I sincerely hope he does not make it out of the first inning. 11 earned runs allowed. That's what I'm looking
Rate
for.
Field, Hunt. That's where they're playing.
That's just awful.
Yeah, Rate Field.
Awful place. We'll never go there.
All right, next one. Happy Gilmore 2 came out on Netflix today. Happy Gilmore 2. Take it or leave it.
I'm going to take it.
I'll take it.
Meaning I'm going to watch it. I think we're going to watch it tonight, apparently.
Okay.
I'm trying to angle for episodes 2 and 3 of this missing persons on a cruise ship
Wait,
documentary.
what happened to The Sopranos?
That didn't work.
You
we saw
already
one.
quit?
We saw one episode.
You already gave up.
That's it.
That's a poor effort.
That's
Hunt.
correct.
Very
I
poor
did
effort.
not. I did not promise a quality effort. It just I didn't have the want to, and Alyssa doesn't either. And we didn't force it. This crime documentary, or maybe crime missing person documentary, I want to watch that. We're gonna watch Happy Gilmore 2. I think. I don't have high hopes. My confidence level is like a 4 or 5. I just want some quality references to the original.
There are going to be. There will be.
That's
100%.
all I'm really looking for.
Yeah.
There's no way it's good.
I don't think it's going to be good. Probably not. There will probably just be a lot of callbacks to the first movie,
Which is fine.
So that's all you're looking for,
Is Ben
really.
Stiller in it?
He probably will be. I'm assuming everybody. I mean, of course, Carl Weathers unfortunately passed away.
Yeah, he will not
last
be
year.
in it.
He won't be in it. But
AI.
yeah, well, that would be. I don't know if there's any kind of laws against that, but yeah, everyone else I'm sure will be in it.
Chubbs, R.I.P. Heck of an instructor.
Really good.
That's it. We're done on a Friday. you want to check out the show, miss it on demand, talk to Keith Hornsby, great conversation we just had. Talk to LSU wide receivers, Preston Guy talking football, plus the Saints camp report. All that on demand wherever you find your sound. Just search Hunt Palmer Show. That's out one more day. Muso's going to drive you home and finish your week off. I'm out of here. See you tomorrow, same time, same place for a Monday edition of the Hunt Palmer Show.
The Hunt Palmer Show.